Yeah. Family, y'all. Just keep it tight, keep it tight, keep it tight. Oh, right. Yeah. Here we go.
The offensive against Islam. So we know that Christians are going to go to war with the Muslims. The Muslims, looking back at the map then, are controlling all of the Holy Land, all of northern Africa, and into Spain. This is not permissible. If we are Christians looking to expand our territory, what's going to happen? We're going to be looking to, first of all, get back our holy places in the Holy Land, and also to expand our territory. The Crusades then were for the purpose of defeating the Muslims who threatened Constantinople. That was the Byzantine Empire. For the purpose of reconquering the Holy Land, all of our holy places in Jerusalem and surrounding areas were all taken by the Muslims. And also winning heaven. Think about this for a moment. If you come and fight with us in the Crusades, and if you die, where are you going? You're going straight to heaven. You just lost your life going out to war against the Saracens, the Muslims, the Moors. All those were the words that we used to them. The Muslims, today we call them Muslims. Back then we called them Saracens or Moors. Or infidels. If you go off and fight against the infidels and lose your life, that's a ticket straight into heaven. Can you think of a faster way to get into heaven? None of these goals were permanently achieved, except maybe that of winning heaven, but I don't know if anyone, who knows about the winning of heaven part. But defeating the Muslims and reconquering the Holy Land, yes, we may have made some advances, but they weren't permanent. The first crusade, let's tick through all 8 crusades. The first crusade was a siege on Antioch and Jerusalem. Remember that those were 2 centers of the church, where the patriarchs of the church, the Patriarch of Antioch and the Patriarch of Jerusalem. So we attacked both Antioch and Jerusalem. Sadly, if we read Dr. Gonzalez's work, it resulted in a lot of violence against the Jews of Jerusalem in 1099, where we raped women and killed children and burnt a synagogue filled with Jews. Sad history for us as Christians. How it is that we're killing not only Muslims, but also our Jewish brothers and sisters. The second crusade was occasioned by the fall of Edessa. So when the Sultan of Aleppo in 1144 took Edessa, that was a call to arms for us, and we went to war again. The third crusade we may have heard of because of the likes of Emperor Frederick Barbarossa, Richard the Lion-Hearted of England, Philip II of France. They all got involved. The Pope called them in response to the taking of Jerusalem in 1187. So in the first crusade, we took Jerusalem. Did we hold on to it? No. They took it back. When they took it back, what happened? We had to go to war against them again. That was largely a failed effort. The fourth had the goal of attacking Saladin in Egypt. That was a disaster. The fifth, the king of Jerusalem, he called himself, attacked Egypt and accomplished very little. The sixth crusade actually was probably the most successful. In the sixth crusade, ironically led by a man who was excommunicated by the church. So think of the consequence, right? When the man who's excommunicated by the church actually wins the crusade, what is that going to mean for the church? So the excommunicated Emperor Frederick II won an agreement in all of this that granted Jerusalem, Nazareth, and Bethlehem all various privileges and protections. So how interesting that he wins back Jerusalem, Nazareth, and Bethlehem, all important to our faith. And then the final 2 crusades, if you've heard of St. Louis, Missouri, named after St. Louis the Ninth, that was that St. Louis that rode in on the 7th and 8th crusades, which were largely disasters. Fighting with the Muslims, we also fought with the Muslims, and those 8 crusades all had to do with our fighting on the eastern portion of the empire, the Holy Land. We also were fighting back the Muslims in Spain, through Spain and into Africa. The reconquest of Spain occupied energy from 1085, when we took Toledo, until 1492. If we're counting, that's over 400 years of fighting to take over Spain. The last stronghold was in southern Spain, Granada, when Ferdinand and Isabella, 1492, oh, we've heard about them before. 1492 is a significant year for many reasons. The Jews and the Moors, the Muslims, were expelled from Spain. During all this time of beating back the Moors, especially in Spain, remember that Santiago de Compostela, Santiago became a big rallying cry for us. We believed at that time that his remains were carried from Jerusalem, where he died, all the way over to Spain, were discovered. He became known as Santiago Matamoros. Matamoros, a Spanish word meaning killer of Moors. The Moor killer. So we were marching off into this holy war with Santiago Matamoros, St. James the Moor Slayer, the Moor Killer, as our patron. New military orders are going to rise in the church. How fascinating this is going to be, because now that the church is becoming more militaristic, what does that mean for all of our monks too? All our monks and religious? They're going to be more militaristic as well. So at this time that we're going to found the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, the Templars, the orders of Calatrava and Alcantara and Santiago. The remnants of this we still see in various orders. The Knights of Malta, we heard of them, right? A group that wears capes and carries swords. Knights of Columbus, love them dearly. Group that puts on capes and wears swords. Where all this coming from? Is this model of the militaristic church, right? As if the Knights of Columbus were going to guard the bishop. If anyone decided to assault the bishop, they're going to use those swords to keep off the attackers. Don't try putting them to the test. But the crusading spirit also carried over into other battles, including theological battles. You know, we're into this militaristic feeling of battling back the Muslims, but also when it comes to other heresies, like the Cathars and the Albigensians, two heretical groups that arose during that time. You know, we felt the same sort of, we have to defend our church and persecute those who don't believe what we believe. If you don't believe what we believe, we have a way of taking care of you. Which would ultimately result a few centuries later in what we know of as the Inquisition.